What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Level With You show. This is episode 7. We apologize for not getting a new one up last week. I was made plans, and I kind of forgot about the podcast in a moment of weakness. And
You forgot about us.
yes, I did. And I do apologize. From now on, we will be more consistent.
You sound like you're breaking your monkly duties. You're just like, I masturbated and I didn't pray to Jesus.
That's how I felt, man. I felt like, come on, I'm Mr. Consistency with this shit. And then,
Speaking of monk stuff,
Okay.
we can talk about something after the show. This is unrelated.
well, we can talk about it during.
Just watch the whole first season of Monk.
But I guess in Worcester, I think it's the country's only tapestry, or what's it called?
Oh, yeah, the thing.
Spencer?
Yeah,
Spencer
they're having
Brewery.
they're having an open house on Saturday.
Oh,
monks.
So it's like the one day during the year where they're gonna let the public in.
wow, that's really cool. Unfortunately, I will be in New York City cheering on my girlfriend in a cheesemonger competition.
Oh, that's this weekend.
shit.
Yeah, it's this
Cool.
weekend. Yeah, so that's
awesome.
exciting.
Take some pictures.
I will.
That's sick. Cool
So,
monks.
joining me this week, we have Tyler Hidy
Per usual, I'm here.
and Anthony Dewart.
Witty comment. Hey.
We do not have our
Action Brapton's missing.
fourth musketeer. Action Brapton is not here.
He's hopefully getting a goddamn car, but we'll see.
Yes, we shall see.
love
That
you.
would be a nice
Good luck.
addition, for sure. So last week was E3, so we have another episode going up same time as this one, which will be Wednesday, June 20th, where we give a big recap on everything that happened. We go through every press conference besides the PC one, which we missed. But the rest of them we go through, we give all our opinions, what we thought looked great, what we thought looked meh. So definitely check that one out. It's a big, beefy episode filled with lots of news.
If you want to see it, click somewhere over here.
On the screen somewhere.
On
Also,
the screen somewhere.
Fun fact, I had to pee a lot during that episode, but I held it in just for you guys.
And
He's a
also
big
just
boy.
saying we are also on podcast services, so please subscribe to us there. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and one or two other ones. So,
You're supposed to do this at the end of the show.
well, I'm switching it up, Tyler.
We do a little bit of this.
Rolling
a little bit of that.
backwards.
Also,
Well-
if you don't feel like watching us the whole time, we would recommend probably listening to us in the podcast audio version. Or you can watch us. It doesn't matter. I usually watch or listen to some of our favorite podcasts. I know Wiley's is a giant bombcast. You can listen to when you're doing the dishes
listen to
or
more
you're doing
than
the
just that.
laundry.
Yeah.
You can put us on in the background if you have a speaker. That's also good.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to if you don't want to. But I
Yeah.
recommend watching us anyway. You don't have to watch the video. Just saying.
Sex
you
is
can
a good
listen to
time to put us on.
That's
I
true.
tried. It wouldn't. It was yeah. I was like, those are my friends. Oh, this is all right. Cool. Great way to not have a boner.
All right, then. So, anything going on in your guys' lives? Our weekly catch-up. We can get back to the more casual stuff after last week's news-filled episode.
I'm buying a house, round 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
So you got accepted again?
so I'm not sure if I told you guys yet, but that first house I wanted to buy fell through, not happening anymore. I was bummed for a little while. And
you
then
were really upset. You're definitely a little cranky bitch for like a week.
And
It's
then
okay.
now I found another house that I'm gonna buy, and I actually like this one better, and it's for less money.
Oh, well.
So
Excellent.
Things happen for a reason.
I guess so.
I hope you can see the house that I partied in still. I'm not going to get over that until we actually see that if I can see the house that I partied in years ago with the old sales associate from the hotel.
It'll be
that I
next
used to
door.
work at. So that'd be pretty cool if I can jump into the yard again for old time's sake.
I'm a little lost. What are you talking about, this house that you partied in?
There's the same road that he's got the house that he's looking at. I was invited to a party there by an old coworker who happened to be like a sales associate when I worked front desk at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And we got pretty drunk at a bar down the street, and we wound up at her house. I don't remember much after that, but it was pretty fun, I
Cool.
think. But
So, small world. Can
Yeah.
party on the same street twice.
Small neighborhood.
Years apart.
bringing
Yep.
it back.
So the reason for I had a nice trip to the beach last week. Hadn't done that all year, so it felt good to get my feet wet, lay in the sand, not get sunburned, which was amazing. It never happens.
It's always a victory.
You put sunscreen on?
I did.
Nice.
I put
There you
on
go.
I put it on liberally, and I was like, usually I'm so bad, and I end up looking like I've got polka dots, like I'm Maggie the Ferocious Beast or something by the end of my sun tanning session. But I was like, nope, not gonna miss any spots, and I did it. So
Great googly moogly.
Great
Maggie,
googly
Maggie.
moogly. Yeah.
That's a joke for you kids. It's part of the show.
And what else? During the E3 episode, we played a lot of Thumper, and we got drunk at your
Oh god,
house.
that was so intense. Oh man,
That was a good night.
Thumper was
That was a
insane.
good night.
That was lots of fun.
That was
Should do that
scary.
again sometime.
For sure. I'm sure we will. So moving on to our what we've been playing now, titled Gaming Catch-Up and Must Play. No, we're trying different things out. We're trying
Sit
different things
down.
out. We just want to do something a little bit more catchy than what we've been playing, since everybody else does that. And we had some fun with puns, and that's what we ended up on. So, without further ado, Gaming Catch-Up and Must Play. What'd you guys? what'd you guys play over this past 2 weeks? Because when we recorded the E3 episode, we didn't even discuss what we've been playing because there was just so much news to talk about.
Oh god, I got a lot of games that just picked up for real cheap. Started Destiny again after doing it on the Xbox One. I started for PS4 so I could play with these fellas now, because they all have PS4s in Destiny. And Brapton just got a PS4, so he's welcome to the PlayStation family. So can play with all my friends and have fun with that. So it's been alright. It's really shitty to play single player, but when you have friends around, it's cool. I'm a level 9 Warlock right now in 2 settings, so
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to install a massive update that took
Mhm.
8 hours in order to even make the disc work in Destiny.
Yep, two
And-
days for me.
I totally forgot what I had for characters. I mean, I had a level 2 Warlock, and then I have a level 27 Titan.
Oh wow.
Titan. I thought you were a hunter back in the day.
No, it's I'm pretty sure it's Titan.
No.
Okay. Maybe it was Alex that was the hunter.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
You were a Titan too, right?
Yes, I was a Titan. And then when I went back, when the Taken King, I switched back between Warlock and Titan. So once 2 comes out in September, I'm going Hunter for sure, because
There you go.
never got to experience that.
Yeah, I think I might go Warlock because I've never really played that.
They're fun so far. I just don't like the double jump. The glide's very like you can't really control where you're going. I'm like, oh god, I'm just getting shot at.
So I'm a little like perplexed that you're getting into Destiny 2 months before Destiny 2 ships. But
Yeah.
I also admire it because at least you're getting to experience the game before it's
And
kind
all the
of
forthcomings
dead
that it's got.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, if you can get to a point where you're getting to play the raids, I will absolutely hop on with you.
Word.
Yeah, so
Cool.
just get to
That
level
helps.
20, and I
That's
will.
easy.
No,
It-
it's not.
it-
Well, I mean, it
getting
takes a
to
long
level
time.
Yeah, it is easy. It does. It's a grind though.
These story missions.
And then once you get to level 20, I'm not sure how you know about how the light system works.
kind of
but
like a little.
like there's a big difference. Well, actually, first of all, the level cap is now 34. It's not it's not 20.
But that's all still light, right? Like max level cap is 20. I
no,
thought.
it's
only-
34
Oh, like the without light.
without light.
Oh,
yeah.
what's max with light?
Like 200. Like, well, I don't even.
I think max with light's like 40 now.
I saw some people walking around level 40.
Okay, maybe it is 40. Okay, it's been a long time since I played Destiny.
They give you an item now
apologize
when you
for
start
the
up.
incorrect statement.
That it's like World of Warcraft. They give you an item that jumps your character straight to 25.
Right.
I
Okay. So
was
that
like,
was
whoa.
with the Taken King. But once you get to the max level, you are far from done in terms of making your character stronger. You have to increase your light level by obtaining and equipping gear, which is guns and clothes,
Right.
armor.
the little robes you get.
Attire.
I can see that like happening now. It increases. Like I've got like my regular level and my light level too also increases, but it's like not. It's weird. It's really odd. It's cool. It's a cool concept.
I haven't looked into how they're. I think they are keeping a similar system for 2, but hopefully it's a little bit easier to understand.
Fleshed out.
Yeah.
When is it, Chip? You said like 2 months. I thought it wasn't gonna be
September
till-
8th.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought it was
Yeah.
until November. That's pretty cool.
I think they moved it up to the 6th.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Because I got an Amazon notification saying that they moved the date up.
That's gonna be
Interesting.
insane. That'd be cool.
for
to
some reason I
watch.
remember that 1 came out on September 9th, 2014. So
Yep. I remember.
just
getting
about
that.
exactly.
Or maybe
3 years
Amazon
later.
was just telling me that it's going to ship the 6th
Get it
and 2 days
early.
ship on the 8th. Maybe,
Okay.
I don't know.
So I finally got into a game that you guys were playing Persona 5.
It's a great game.
Good game.
I'm glad you got into it. Glad you're enjoying it.
Well, thank you for letting me borrow it.
Hey,
40
We did a
hours
little
into it.
swap. I let him borrow Nier Automata, so he'll have some impressions on that shortly. And
Oh my god, just I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is great, this action, and then I'm looking at the girl I'm playing as, and I'm like, and you never think you're gonna be that perverted of an old man when you like hit a certain age, and I'm like 25, and I'm just like, oh my god, Jesus.
Yeah,
Yo, let's
2Bs.
see how we can move this camera. This is nice.
Well, okay, so we'll talk. Okay,
I'll get into that later,
In Nier,
don't worry.
okay, so in
in
Nier,
the near future.
in the near future. Okay, so with Persona 5, I'm just about 6 hours in now, I think, maybe 6.5, and I am making my plan to complete the first palace, which are sort of the dungeons. It's where all the combat takes place in these games. They're sort of like big sort of heists that you plan where you have to steal treasure. At first, I was a little. The tone of the game turned me off a little bit. It was a little too anime for me. But once I started to talk to the characters more, once Ryuji, who's your sort of best friend,
He's your first
gets
bro.
introduced, he's your first bro. He's really likable. And then also your caretaker starts showing a little bit more kindness to you. I just learned how to brew coffee.
Yeah, see, I
Nice.
told you. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. You
Yeah,
gotta
that
get
was very good.
It's very important at first to do, but it becomes so hard to choose. It's like, do I brew coffee? Do I hang out with
I
this
know.
person?
There's so many things to do.
Or do I do pull-up bars instead of making
I
coffee?
just found out that I can do that training thing. So what will that increase?
Just a little bit of health. I really don't recommend it at first. There's way better things you can spend your time doing rather than doing pull-ups in your room.
Okay.
Like making tools to use for the break-ins. I'd recommend that because that also gets your proficiency up.
Did you have
So
to?
I
Do
don't-
you have to buy the pull-up bar?
No, it just kind of shows up because you have to use one of the rafters on the drop-down ceiling. The cat's like, well, there's a dig at the ceiling. I'm sure you could like get some work for that. And you're like, I guess so. I'll try it.
Oh yeah,
They
I
kind of
remember
make you do it
that.
the first time.
I know I haven't done that yet. I've only done that the very first time.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't done it since.
So what was really hard for me to understand about these games before I'd played them, this is my first time playing the series, was the fact that it is a time-based game, like similarly to many other games that have mornings, evenings, and nights and stuff. Time management is a big aspect of it. But what I've learned is you can spend as much time doing a single thing and time won't end until that activity is closed.
It's really weird. Yeah.
So you can walk around town for 45 minutes and that takes up the same amount of time in game as talking to a friend for 30 seconds.
Exactly. There's
So-
a very odd balance with that,
But what impresses me so much about the game is just the almost effortless flow that it seems to have once it's going from day to day, whether that be walking through the train station and it's smooth transitions with load times to the way the music keeps going, the way that a certain in-game activity will lead to the fast forward in the story where you're being interrogated.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I really thought that was a very nice touch because at first I was very confused when you get dropped into it. I thought it was it goes from the fast forward and then it goes back. It's like you're in the situation, then it flashes back, and then every time it keeps going back. I'm like, do I have to answer the question the right way? Is it going to affect the story? Is it going to affect what I do by the end game? But it was really cool how it kind of brings you in and out, and I love how depressed your character looks every time it goes back.
Yeah.
It's just, it looks like me every Saturday morning when I wake up way too hungover. It's just it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Have you guys gotten to that point in the story where you're caught up? Because I'm
No
No.
way. It's a long game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's pretty
He's farther
close.
than I am right now.
Yeah, I mean I'm like 40 hours in.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean there's some surprises where the investigator is finding things out, and I don't know, it's cool. No, I am not there yet.
Yeah, to avoid spoilers, pretty much the way that things are introduced, it's whenever somebody new comes into your life or somebody important in the game or your social circle is introduced, it always it does the the classic Persona I am thou, thou art I. You get in your social link, and then it flashes you back to the point the interrogation. It's so you had somebody to smuggle you sandwiches when you were going home late at night. Who were they? And it's just oh, you could be oh, it was. I don't want to say it, like, you literally, that's an option. I think it's like say nothing or like a little quippy, like, wouldn't you like to know, what do you like, Subway or what? And she gets mad, and then it just goes back to the story.
Yeah. I don't think it doesn't seem like it matters too much what you say.
No.
I hope not.
Like I wonder if there are times at all where the dialogue matters, because it seems like I'm sure there are in terms of forming relationships, whether who you want to romance or who you want to, become better friends with. But in terms of major story points, it does seem like most of the dialogue options are pretty frivolous. It's more just for an entertainment value thing.
Yeah,
I agree.
On the topic of that, the dialogue, I'm pretty sure it does at least affect the endings. I know there's a couple endings you can get, and with your social links, some of them, like, you have only, like, since it is time-based, you have a certain amount of time to get the social links to, max out, and when you get max, you finally get their full benefits. Like, I know the guy that you get for the Sun Arcana, there's a guy you're going to meet eventually who's out when you go to the plaza. He's, like, there. He's an old politician giving a speech in front of, like, a broken-out trailer.
I saw him.
Yep, you need to go, I believe your first, one of the first jobs you can get, you have to work 2 or 3 times at, this ramen shop. You can get a part-time job, and that's...
I've already had 3 shifts at the convenience store.
Oh, there you go, yeah, you gotta get the noodle one for this guy, because he's one of the most helpful, because he helps you out in demon negotiations. So if you go to him, you can, if he'll see you, he's like, oh, you're working hard, I've seen you working hard at the bistro bowl, you should come stop by, and you stop by and talk to him, and then he lets you into his life, and that starts a whole thing. But I thought that was really cool. So he's really good with that, but it's a really odd kind of way to max out the social links, with your bros, the people you're in the fighting party with. I know the one good thing, if you max out their social link, of course you've got the other options in battle where they're gonna jump in for a second attack, if you're close enough with them, or if you land a critical hit, they come up and they're like, hey, what's going on? And there's an option where it's follow up, and they'll follow through with a critical, knocking the enemy down, giving you a chance to retaliate, which is really cool. But once they hit max social link in battle, their persona evolves. So it's pretty cool. So changes and becomes way more powerful, like a Pokemon evolution. So
right.
I thought that was pretty cool. But you can only get that if you're max social level with them.
And in my opinion, I feel like the part-time jobs are a waste of time.
They are bullshit.
Are they? It seems like the only way to make money to get potions.
Right now.
Yeah,
at the beginning, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the beginning, it does seem like the only way to make money. But as you fight more Persona and go deeper into the palaces and you start negotiating with them. I mean, there are some personas that you'll ask for money and they'll give you a shit ton of money.
Especially if you have their persona on you. So if you fight one of the horse guys, I'm sure you've seen yet.
Yeah, I have one. I got one.
So if you critical them and get them down, they're like, oh, what are you gonna do? You can either recruit them or you could ask for money. Ask for money, they'll immediately give you the item or money. They're like, oh, okay, you've got me. Here you go.
That's pretty funny.
It's pretty tight.
But yeah, I mean, I would definitely. It took me a while to actually understand how I should be battling. I mean, definitely, if you want max experience, then you have to kill all of them. Don't negotiate with them. Don't ask for money. And also killing them still gives you a decent amount of money.
Yeah, doing that does a lot of money, and then there's also, if you have the same type, of course, the best way I made money in the beginning was negotiating, so I'd either see how I would get it from a normal battle with killing them, or I'd see how much money I'd get negotiating, because what I would do is, if you negotiate with one of them, there's 2 of the same type, and there's 1 of a different type, and you have the one with 2 of the same type, if you negotiate with them, or you kill the different type, negotiate with the one you have that are the 2 same types, they'll get more money because you'll get your regular battle money plus whatever money you earn from negotiating.
Okay, so you guys are talking all about this tactics in battle, but I have only had very limited a chance to actually fight. I was only in the palace 2 separate times, and it was for 30 minutes each.
Oh,
I've probably had a total of 10 fights in the game so far. And I'm just making my plans to go back into the palace.
For the first time infiltration, so you haven't even gotten to the beginning,
Right.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so it seems to me like I need to be doing several rounds or days of preparation in terms of making enough money to buy healing potions, because I only had 2 small, 50 HP potions once they were like, you ready to go? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And then I did 3 night shifts working so I could get the 10,000 yen so I could go buy several healing items, bought a couple new weapons. So now I think I've got, a couple cups of coffee for getting my MP back up. I've got 8 or 9 potions for for healing. I've got one that heals all my party members, so I've got a decent amount of things, I feel like. And I want to say 6 or 7 more days until the deadline. And my question is...
You gotta hop in there.
Yeah, you gotta
get going.
You're pretty late.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was assuming that you just had to be in there by the last day.
No,
No.
the
Do
best
not
way
do
to
that.
do it is the best way I think I could recommend for starting out is like now you're finally able to like you got through all your guys, you have your starting party. Best way to go is like don't worry about like the prep as much as you did. Like that's awesome that you got as much prep and you have your backup and your healing items. But once you go in, it's all about kind of exploring the palace, and you're gonna want to kind of get a lay of the land at first. Because there are these things in the palace called safe rooms that you can go to.
Yeah.
And you go there and they give you a chance to save. You can talk to your party, kind of determine a strategy, or you can book it from there. Like you can just leave the palace entirely, and
then can you travel right back?
Oh yeah,
to that?
fast travel right back to it. So as soon as you get into the palace, you can go fast travel to the different safe rooms. So like checkpoints, so you don't have to go all the way back from the beginning.
So how many days did it take you to get through the palace?
First,
I mean, theoretically, you could do it in one day. I mean, it sounds like you have enough like healing items and stuff like that where you might be able to do it in one day. But like for me, I didn't do like any of that preparation, and so I like got to a certain point, and then I'm like, oh well, my team's like close to dead. I have to leave the palace and come back. So when I come back, you have full health and full MP and everything.
But it also seems like during the past few days that I've learned some story things that I would have missed if I hadn't done this preparation. Like I got to know the, punk rock chick doctor that sells you stuff.
I love her. Oh, she's my favorite.
Well,
it's the Kemi, right? I think.
Sounds right.
Something like that, close to it. But she's awesome. She's really cool. But don't worry about that because you will get the same events either way. Because basically the palaces are totally separate, so you can go like they recommend knocking at the palace in 1 or 2 sittings. So because that's its own separate story, the main story. Whereas like do that, you have that out of the way, so you don't have to worry about going in, fighting, spending time doing that. You can do it on the whole other like the half of the game is the social life simulator. So focus on doing that, building your relationships. They recommend like getting that out of the way, and then you have like 20 something days or whatever.
Yeah, to do whatever.
Exactly, because you always still have the countdown. But
gotcha. So
story will be
if I beat the palace, say tomorrow, it'll still say like 5 more days until the meeting with Kamoshida.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And you explained, I think this would be a good time for you, Tyler, to explain how you saved my ass the first time. The ending of the first palace, not giving too much away, but...
So, you actually need 2 extra days before the deadline going to the palace. Because what you do is you infiltrate the palace to locate the treasure. Once you locate the treasure, you have to hop out, and then you have to send a calling card, is what it's called, and that takes a day to send the calling card.
Once you get to the treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you find the treasure in the palace, and then you're like, oh, we have to send a calling card.
Why don't you just open it?
It won't materialize. It's a bunch of story
yeah.
stuff. Pretty much the cat's just like, oh yeah, well you can't do that because the person has to realize that they're like they might be in danger even though you're in their palace.
Okay.
It's a whole bunch of story bullshit. But anyway, just to summarize, you need like a couple days of fluff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
You need like 3-day leeway.
Okay, so I'm going in tomorrow. It's settled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You knock that shit out as soon as possible because it's a pretty big palace the first
What
time.
happens if I don't?
I don't know, Tyler. What happens?
Yeah, so what I did is I went into I pretty much like did what you did. I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. Like I'll just like wait until the last day and then finish the palace. So I got to like the very last safe room, not knowing that I would need an extra day to send this calling card.
Oh, that's terrible.
And then
It's scary.
And then I went and sent the calling card on like the day before the deadline. But apparently that still wasn't correct because then the deadline hit. And apparently on the day that the deadline hits, you just lose if you haven't beaten the palace. You get thrown back in jail or something happens.
Oh, did you get to see a cutscene where he gets like expelled and shit?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have. Oh, I hate that. That made me so anxious.
Well, then what happens to the last several hours of your game?
So you can either
lose it.
I can't remember. I think you can either load your last save.
Which would be pointless because you're in the safe room with one day left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can either load your last save, or you can go back 7 days.
Oh, okay. You can go back 7 days.
but
you then have to
lose
play
all
7
the
days over
progress.
again.
that is, I mean, at least you don't have to go back to the very beginning.
No.
That would. I mean, especially if you had put in 6 months.
Yeah, that's so discouraging.
That would be pretty rage-inducing.
No, yeah, definitely. But I mean, still, 7 days pissed me off. I was like, really?
Because you're like, oh, I did so much at first.
I
It's
just
like all
spent
these social
2
links.
hours on those 7 days.
That sucks. Yeah, because right before you get there, you have to find this. What was it the night when we were like chatting when we were playing? You have to find like a golden knight with a key or 2 with a key, and that's like when you're on the floor, like below the last floor of the palace, and you have to go like run up to it, and they're like, oh, we need to lower a drawbridge, and it's like, oh, I saw a knight that's got a key down there, and you're like, all right, I guess. So you go back down, you have to fight like 2 more knights, and some of them are actually pretty hard, and I'm like, I want to save all my MP for the boss, and I didn't know you could just like, all right, well, let's get the hell out of here and save. So I was just like, this is so annoying, but it goes by pretty. It's got a nice, like the flow kind of carries you into it once you know you get your plan.
So I'll try to do it in. I want to say it's the 20. Well, I can't remember what date the deadline was, but I'm pretty sure I have 6 or 7 days left.
Just do it ASAP. Try in 1, but if not 2.
Okay.
I think I did it in 3 sittings. Like I went back and forth to the palace 3 times at first.
I think I did that too, 3 or 4.
And are there any sort of waypoints telling you which direction to go, or not really?
It's pretty self-explanatory because as you explore it, it reveals the map. So you know where you've been and where you need to explore.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
All right, I'm not too worried about it then.
Yeah, you'll be good. Just kind of, it's all trial and error. Like you just gotta go and kind of just see what happens.
Yeah, and at least time's not ticking as you're exploring.
Yeah, thankfully.
So another game that dominated a lot of my time this week, which I got to share with you guys on Friday, a little rhythm game called Thumper. I'd first heard about it during the 2016 Game of the Year deliberations on Giant Bomb.
There you go.
Yeah, and Alex Navarro was a huge advocate for it, and I had been meaning to get to it for a long time. I saw it on sale for $11.99 during a sale that PSN was doing last week. Pulled the trigger on it. Extremely happy I did. It was quite the experience.
That game was trippy.
Yeah,
as
I got pretty
shit.
addicted to it too.
It was you guys
It's
were going
so
nuts.
easy.
We were pretty lit by that point to say the least. And I remember we're in my basement and I have a couch around my TV and it's on the wall. And I was sitting on my computer. I think I was actually trying to play DuckTales Remastered.
Yeah, you were.
Because I was getting pissed because I'm so bad at it. And I'm sitting there and I turn my chair and I look over at you guys and it's just your 2 heads and you guys are both like doing this simultaneously, like bumping to the beat. And it's just so trippy. And there's this big mouth and the screen just going. Yeah, it's just. That's all I see, and I'm like, it's pretty tight. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into this.
It was so much fun.
It was scary, but it was cool watching you guys.
I
play.
was pissed the next day because I was gonna go play it, and then
Yeah.
Anthony deleted it off his PlayStation.
Why?
Yeah, I didn't have enough room to install. What was I installing? Nier and Destiny.
Destiny.
Yeah. I didn't have enough room,
Gotcha.
so
I was like,
You
come
should
on.
delete the bigger games first. That's what I always do.
that's all. That was pretty big.
Was it?
It was a big one.
Okay.
I don't know if it was that big, but I deleted. I deleted another big game, but I have to reformat a hard drive that I have to save more games.
So when we were playing that night, we had gotten through level 4. Each level is composed of about anywhere from 20 to 28 mini levels, which are anywhere from 20 seconds to 2 minutes long, and these are extremely intense minutes. If you haven't seen the game in action, it's very hard to describe. You play as a beetle
Beetle.
who's right in the center of the screen on an endless psychedelic-looking roller coaster, and you have to hit buttons at certain times, or else you die. And you also have to do things like hold left while you hold X, or hold right, or hold up and then down at the exact right time. And it gets extremely intense rather quickly, especially as the game goes on. Each level introduces a somewhat new mechanic. Until the very late game, there isn't too much new. But
When does it stop to introduce? I mean,
I'd say
you
like
beat
6.
it now, so
Yeah, I don't think there's too much new after level 6 or so. And then it just kind of throws things at you faster. And
So I mean, I'm curious as to what the other levels introduced. So we got to 4, and that introduced the lane change.
Oh God.
And
well, there's another mechanic that really is difficult to master later on, where you are going down the path and there's a boss, and when you're playing the boss, you really have to be exact. You can't mess up at all, or else you won't activate the green button that you need to push in order to shoot shoot the boss. So you just have to hit 7 or 8 notes, or sometimes even like 15 or 20 in a row, and then you'll have a chance to hit X on this big green note that will zoom off and hit the boss in the distance. And if you miss one, then you're just going to have to repeat the section over. You don't take damage, but you're just going to have to keep going over and over until you get it right. But there's a mechanic later on where you have to jump up where there's 3 rings in front of a boss. So even if you get to that perfect note, it'll just bounce off and it won't do anything. So what you need to do is hit up on the D-pad as soon as you hit a square, and then down when you hit the next one, and that sends off a shockwave that breaks one of these rings. And during one boss, I think it was the level 7 final boss, you have to do it 3 times really quickly in one after another, or else you can't. And I was getting super frustrated at it. I just couldn't see what I was doing wrong. But then eventually I read a YouTube comment that was able to steer me in the right direction. But the game just has such an incredible sense of momentum, and makes you feel like you're doing things that you're not even really thinking about. They're just straight up muscle memory. And like,
Yeah.
I've never really felt that way as much as I did in this game, where I'm like, wow, did I really just do that? Like, that's really impressive. Like, I did not know my reflexes were that on point, because actually beating this game was one of just completing it, not getting any super high scores. In fact, I would get the lowest ranking possible on several of the later stages. But I still felt like this was one of my most proud gaming achievements, is just getting through this thing.
Up there with the Soul series.
Definitely.
Wow. Yeah, it was pretty rough when I was watching you guys play. I tried, and I think I did maybe half of a level, and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we were also kind of hogging it, and
Yeah,
It's okay.
It's definitely not a game to jump into at level 4.
Yeah, it does a
that
very
was
good
rough.
job of easing you into it as you go through it, like just steadily getting more difficult.
It was pretty intense, but it was proud of you guys. You guys were real good, and then you were getting really into it too, because
I
you just
know.
like, showed them, and they just
Yeah.
super into it.
I think Tyler knew that he had a time limit, that he had to like get as far as he could.
I
down
know,
the
I
rest.
did.
As far as I can before I
super
get too
competitive.
I will say that I think that level 6 was just the best level. It was the total package in terms of the psychedelic stuff that's happening on screen, with the sort of variety in the levels, and I think that there was just one super psychedelic kaleidoscope color one that sticks out as my favorite part of the game. But
Are there different endings for it when you beat it, or is it just one? Like, you did it, good job.
no, there's no different endings.
That's good.
I will say there is a little something after the quote unquote final boss, which at that point I was like, really? I just want it to be over, just because I was putting myself through hell trying to complete
Complete
this
it.
much in one night. Yeah, which I get on a little obsessive about beating games.
That's okay. You gotta follow through.
Yeah.
You don't want it, you're not gonna get it.
It didn't have you like thump through the credits or anything like that.
No, that
I
would have been
would've
sweet
passed.
though.
I'm like, no,
I
thank
found
you.
out that the game was pretty much made by 2 guys, so
That's
Sweet.
nice. Wow.
yeah, it was like,
I could see that being a pretty good multiplayer game too. Sort of like a Guitar Hero kind of battle.
yeah, that would
Oh
be
god,
sweet.
that'd be cool.
I hope we get a Thumper 2 for sure. Other than that, played another few rounds of Overwatch. Not a ton. Experimented with a few new characters. Zarya, I think she's a pretty good time.
Which one is she?
She's the
The super buff girl with the lasers.
Oh, with
and
pink hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 My favorite.
the Russian.
Yeah, she's interesting. I haven't played her so much yet, but
And another few rounds as Diva. Another few as Lucio. Those seem to be my mains, as they're called.
my mains would smash. I'm gonna
But,
beat your Marth with my Lucio.
Ever since Thumper came around, and now Persona, those have been taking up most of my time. So
That's
Nice.
fair enough.
I haven't played like too many games. I know when we went over to Anthony's, we tried out ARMS on the
Oh,
Switch.
right, I
Yeah,
forgot.
yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Arms.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. I could definitely see myself getting into that game. Yeah,
That seems
trying
like a
it
good
online
multiplayer
and
party game versus like
Yeah.
sitting alone, and I can definitely see like a training mode kind of getting better.
yeah,
to,
it's
like,
definitely a
fight
cool
your friends.
game. Like to be able to use the motion controls and also just be able to use the controllers, both the single Joy-Con and the double Joy-Cons. I think that's a super cool game.
Yeah, definitely cool like party or like friend experience. The single player Matt looked like he was still having a good time. You know, drinking his wine in the background of the podcast and also spilling his wine all on my mail afterwards. But that's not part of ARMS. But he seemed like he was having a good time playing it on his cool Nintendo Switch, which I still have to get one at some point. But
They are cool.
they look really cool. Maybe when Splatoon 2 comes out.
I wonder if the game has enough going for it to be deep enough for the competitive fighting game people to
I think it
really
might,
get
Yeah.
into.
depending. I definitely
No,
wouldn't pay
I don't think
$60
so.
for it. It's not worth $60, I feel, at this point. There's not enough content.
It doesn't feel. I mean, I played a few rounds of it and hated it, but that's just because I wasn't understanding.
You also
the
couldn't, like,
motion
no one was
controls.
telling you the controls. You're like, what the fuck? Like, come on, man, what is this punch? And I was like, you can figure it out, man. I'm not telling you. They're like, go to the level. What do you mean? Like, move it. I'm moving. And you're like, oh, no, I'm not. And they're like, all right, well, whatever. I'm just going to wail on you a couple
Yeah.
times. You can figure it out.
I had like 5 connections in the 3 fights that I played.
Yeah.
But
It's all part of the learning curve.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sit back and act like I know that ARMS is shit just because it felt like shit when I played it for a few rounds. But I've heard that it's actually pretty good. So
I wouldn't pay $60 for it. I'd say maybe it's worth like I would say $30. $30, $35 game.
$30, that's it.
35
Okay.
$35.
I would pay- I would
just from what
probably-
I saw, like it's like there's a
I'd
campaign
pay like
mode that's
45
okay.
for it.
45. Okay.
I'd say 35.
Get on eBay, pay 45 maximum. That's their advice.
Yeah. 35, 40. Max 40.
Feels like a 40 to me.
Yeah. Definitely a Crash Insane Trilogy though. That's what I'm stoked for coming out next. $40 at launch.
Oh, right.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, totally.
$40
That's
at
great.
launch. That's
40
sweet.
at launch.
$13.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's 40.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
Yes.
Platinum trophies for all 3 games.
Nice.
Looking at a good old level up there for my star ranking on PSN. So
Yeah.
watch out, world. I'm gonna one step closer to glory.
It's been a while since I platinum something that wasn't a Telltale game.
We should play that. We have to play. We have
Oh,
to do
for
something.
sure.
We have to do something soon.
We will, yeah.
Pump
We'll
that.
start making YouTube content someday.
Eventually,
Someday.
one day. We'll do it one day.
Once my house is all set and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Watch out! I'm gonna start squatting in your basement. You won't know I'm there. You're just gonna come down and be like, "What the hell?" If you have a basement, I don't know if you have a basement.
Oh, I have a basement.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. You're gonna wake up and I'll just be in a little sleeping bag in the corner with a little puddle of water. You're not gonna know what that puddle is. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. But I'll be there.
It's gonna be a nice basement. I'm gonna finish it. It's gonna be
Oh, this one's got a
beautiful.
basement too.
I mean, it's not like it's got potential.
Potential
The
basement.
ceilings are not super high, but you know,
who
can
needs high
work
ceilings?
with it.
Can I stand in there without hitting my head?
I think so. I think that they'd probably be about this high.
Okay, that works.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's sick. But I know you on that you were we swapped. Wiley and I swapped games. So I gave him Persona to borrow, and he gave me Nier, Automata.
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 Tomato, Demi Lovato. But it's been really fun, and I really like how it starts off. It's very interesting. It's like a dark, very like a dark overtone with a little bit of like. It's very nuanced. It's also like a little bit of comedy here and there with what's the other guy? There's 2B.
Very offbeat comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2B and 9S is the other
9S.
kid. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's just like, oh, hey, ma'am. And she's like, don't call me ma'am. And he's like, well, okay. But
9S becomes a huge character.
oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
yeah.
I'm like,
He
he's
starts off as like
there's
your
something
little
that's gonna-
sidekick, but
oh yeah, they're gonna do something. But it was cool. I really like how it starts off as like a bullet hell almost shooter. I don't know what the term for it is. But it's like one of the classic like all arcade like airplane games where it's like you have your little guy, you just beep 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 beep, and you're shooting things as they're coming in,
yeah,
and they
even
switch it
all
up.
those shooters.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
a little shooter.
Yeah,
And they give you some different modes. It's like, oh, you can press square to like do a slash attack, and then you transform into like Robotech like Gundam mode, where it's like mobile mode. And you can use the 2 sticks to twirl around and shoot and be like a robot.
right. Yeah,
And then you go straight into you crash through a building. And you go straight into third person like Devil May Cry, like hack and slash, just shoot them up. You have a little robot that like shoots the like bullets for you, which I was awesome. Like, this is sick. So you can do like DPS at the same time as you're just killing
Really?
shit.
Yeah,
It's
you pretty
really
much
cool.
just hold down the R1 button,
Yep,
which I
the
think
whole time.
yeah. So
It's ridiculous.
I thought they could have done. It's kind of hard to get upgrades for that pod.
Oh, it's so much money.
Yeah,
At least start
and
off
you
with.
have to find a lot of items, and so I barely even touched that, and I did the full 3 playthroughs. But so that was one aspect I thought they could have done a little better with. But I thought the opening sequence of that game was very cool.
Yeah.
Just the way it sort of introduces you to all the gameplay swapping mechanics, and
Until I died for the first time, and then it wasn't as fun because I was like, oh, cool, I could probably just go back. And the way I thought they were setting up the game was almost like you're like Dead Rising or like Breath of Fire 5. It wasn't that Breath of Fire 5 sucked. It wasn't that popular, but you could go through it, and the point was to get the different endings when you played through it. Or like Dead Rising, when you play, you could die, but you start over with your level and everything. But this, I was just like, oh, it kind of seemed like they were setting you up for that, but they didn't. So you die, you don't have any way to like, you just get the first ending, the bad ending right off the bat. It just goes, you died, humanity sucked and died, and then it just credits roll, and it's like Nier Automata. Do you want to play again? And I was like, yeah. So I started it up, and then
Yes,
it brought
please.
me right back to the entrance or the intro sequence with the planes, and I was like, okay, maybe I have my level, and then I waited for the screen to pop up, and just level 1 again. I was like, are you kidding me?
yeah.
So that was a little bit of a headache.
You just
but-
picked the wrong place to die in.
Oh, very wrong
Yeah,
place.
because it doesn't do that anytime you die.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just during certain moments where the creators figured they could write some sort of goofy narrative to explain the game ending.
I do feel proud though. I'm like, okay, and where it's like all the endings you have on your save file unlocked, I have the W ending. I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah, at least you get that. See, me,
Yeah.
I only had the only joke ending that I found because I didn't pursue any was H. When it was just because I went down a wrong path when there was some village
Oh,
on
you were
fire
saying
that I
that-
had to go save.
Yep, that's right. You were telling that the earlier podcast, and just wow. And so you could just, but you continue from your old save there, right? It didn't like make you
It
start.
continues from the last time you saved, so the game
Okay.
has no autosave whatsoever.
They make that a big point too, which I
Yeah.
found funny. The game is just like you talk to an NPC in the beginning, and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she's like got the Nier like the big bubble mask on, and she's like, "Oh, you can ask me questions if you want." And I click the one. It's like, "Oh, what about saving?" And she goes, "Oh, well, heads up, the game doesn't autosave." And I was like, "Okay, I got that." It did tell me a couple times before that, and she like goes on to explain a few more lines. She goes, "Yeah, by the way, also save a lot because it doesn't autosave." And I was like, "I get it." And then like a couple more lines, she goes, "All right, cool. Well, if you know enough, just know that this game doesn't autosave."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, I get it. I get the point. Okay, that works." I was like, "I'll save," and I've been saving a lot. So,
Yeah, you want to do that.
but it's getting. I'm not very far yet. I just got past the desert, which is like I'd say like the second level, I guess.
Well, you'll be back there.
Okay. Backtrack to it. It was definitely an interesting way I left it, which was funky.
How so?
The second boss that you fight, I'd say I call him the second boss. Like when he drops out, and he's just because he just sits there and he's just kind of like this big luscious guy with like long white hair, and he just kind of like stands and is just like kind of hanging out. And I'm like, I don't want to kill you, man. I'm like, just the robots. Some of the robots you don't have to kill; they don't provoke you. And I'm like, well, I want experience, so and money. But they sit there. He just sits there and like kind of dawdles, and I just ran around the arena for probably 15 minutes, seeing if I could do.
Oh,
anything
right.
else.
Okay. And so this is after you run into the robots getting it on.
Oh yeah, it was funny because there's
Okay.
one that's going child. There's a bunch of them trying to like simulate
So-
human emotion and
so
like parenting,
strange.
and a bunch of robots are just sitting there just like yeah, get it on, and they're just they're bumping each other and they're like trying to simulate sex, and you get down there, even the characters are like, what the fuck is happening? They're like, don't pay attention to them, 2B. They don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to emulate human emotions, and they're just like, bark,
Yeah.
bark, give it to me. And it's just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? I was like, and then you kill all of them, and then the boss, they all form a cocoon, and the boss drops out.
And so the cool thing about that boss fight is that the boss gets stronger and stronger.
That was cool. I did
as
like that because I didn't
the
want to
fight
hit him
goes
at
on.
first, so I walked around for 15 minutes, examined everything, and I was like, "Well, guess I gotta kill him." And then he just levels up. He starts. You can see his bar level 1. He goes from level 1 to like I think 9 is
Yeah.
what I got him to. And
Yeah.
then just,
Yeah,
that was sweet. It's really cool so far. I really like it. I like how the weapons don't like sit on your back. They kind of float like in this little ring behind you. I thought that was neat. Of course, there's fishing like every modern RPG.
I never
now.
figured out how to fish in that game.
I didn't get it the first couple times, but you just hit it. You like where your cursor is. You cast and you throw your little bot, and you just wait there because there's no sign of any fish in the water.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you just have to wait for it to go under, and you just hit it. You hit the reel in, and it just
Oh, wow.
and then yeah.
See, I didn't have the patience, and I was like, I don't need to catch fish.
I thought it was gonna be way more complicated than it was, and I was like, well, that's it. Okay.
Like the Final Fantasy 15 fishing, which was way too complicated.
That was fun. Tyler watched me play that for like
Yeah,
an
that's
hour
awesome.
when I was fishing.
Sounds like this is like Stardew Valley fishing.
Yeah, that's the best fishing,
Oh,
Stardew
God.
Valley.
See, that I
Yeah.
thought was hard when I tried that the one time.
It's hard at first, but you get the hang of it.
Creepy, spooky.
Yeah.
But
I think that about wraps up what we've been playing. We're going to come back with a short segment. Again, this week's episode is a little bit different. 2 episodes are going to be going up at the same time. One's all news focused, where we cover everything about E3. This one's a little bit more personal, what we've been playing. So next week we'll get back to our mixture of both. We hope that you enjoy both of them. We'll be back shortly for part 2. Welcome back to part 2 of the Level With You show, episode 7. This week's a little bit different. Same with the other episode that's also going up at the same time as this, which is all about E3. This is all about what we've been playing, and then we're just doing another fun discussion topic. This week we've decided to talk about our favorite co-op experiences, and they don't necessarily have to be our all-time favorite, but one that we maybe think that doesn't get enough recognition, or one that sticks out in our mind is, I'd like to go back and play that someday, just because of the feeling that we once got cooperatively playing with somebody else. So
it's a good feeling. No other feeling like it.
Yeah, definitely. Tyler, what's the one you got?
So the one I've got is Army of Two. It was for the Xbox 360. And that was a game that I thought was really cool for the time. I feel like that was one of the only... Man, it was like set up in such like a certain way where like you really had to communicate with the other person you were playing with in order to like get through a level.
It's a third-person shooter, or
it was a third-person shooter.
It was in the vein of what Resident Evil 4, right? It was like over the shoulder kind of.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was kind of like Gears of War-y, but I thought like the art style was really cool. I thought a lot of like the cover systems were really cool. You could do like a lot of different like maneuvers and like special effects and things like that, like with the covers. And then there was like a ton of like really cool. I'm actually like remembering it as I talk about it.
Okay.
There were some like really cool things you could do with your partner. You could go like back to back to each other and just like wail on people. There was just like tons of like super cool things you could do where you would like interact with each other and like do some like really cool like shoot 'em up, like some cool like really effect type of thing. And you didn't really see that with any games back then. I can't think. I don't know when it came out. It was a long time ago.
There was Kane and Lynch too. I know that it was kind of like that. I don't know. It definitely was the same kind of deal, but I think I had an older version of that, like the first one, 360.
And also in Army of Two, you kind of had to like pick the right loadouts with each level. So one person would be like a breacher, and another person would be like an assault.
Came out in 2008.
2008. So I was just talking about 2008 games. One person could have like a shield. And as one person's like walking forward with the shield, the other person could stand behind them and kind of like actually be firing. And I thought that was super cool.
So does this game give you an option to play solo?
Yeah, you can play solo, and then you kind of like direct the other Army of Two person, which is the computer. You can like direct them as to like how you want to end up playing, and just like kind of communicate with the AI. And I think you use a directional pad to tell them to do certain things, and you can move them up to like a certain cover and things like that. So I mean the single player was pretty cool too, but I thought it was really different for the time for a co-op game, and
meant to be like a multiplayer game.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, Army of Two, it was cool.
Did they ever make Army of 2?
I think they did.
Yeah.
Did they really?
But I didn't play it.
They came out with a sequel.
Was it called that?
Pretty sure it was like along the lines like Army of
Couldn't have called it Army of 2
or Army of 2. I think it was like Army of 2, like Blood Mexico or something like that, or Blood Cartel.
Oh, okay, there it is. Army of 2, the 40th Day, or the Devil's Cartel.
Devil's Cartel. And then the 40th Day, I think, was the third one, maybe. They know they had like a couple. There might have been a couple sequels. There's definitely a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I guess Devil's Cartel came out in 2013, and the Army of 2, the 40th Day, came out in 2010. So there's been 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
3-2.
I'll have to. Do you still have it?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Oh well.
I don't have like any of my Xbox 360 stuff.
Floating around in the ether.
Maybe it's on Xbox Game Pass. Have you guys heard about that?
No, what's that?
It's a monthly subscription that you can pay $10 per month. You get unlimited game downloads, not streams. There's about 100 games available. One of the biggest profile games on it is Halo 5. And there's a few other, sort of mid-tier Xbox One games available, as well as a ton of 360 stuff. So I think it's a pretty cool idea.
So it's like PS Now.
Yeah, Sony's doing that too.
Except for that it's streaming, though.
Yeah, so
this is you actually get to download it, so you don't have to worry about anything like having your speeds up or latency being an issue if you're playing an action game. So.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about it. It was funny because PS now has a lot of fighters, and fighters are very frame specific, so you want to have that perfect. So you have to either be playing right by router, super high speeds, or just download it. So I was very iffy when Matt was trying to explain that to us the other week. I was like, I'll pass on that.
It's impressive that they get the tech to work at all. I mean, it's streaming a AAA video game is super an accomplishment in its own right.
But it also saves your save files, so you can play on different consoles, and you could stream it and still play where you saved.
That's also neat.
Huh.
So the game I chose is another pretty old game. I think it came out in 03, 04. It's Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. And this game was co-op in its multiplayer mode. It had a very unique and special mode called Spies versus Mercs, where two people would play as an even more mobile version of Sam Fisher's moveset from the game. You'd play in third person. It was 2v2, and you would be facing two people with much more firepower, with a limited view, because they were in first person. They were the Mercs, and you didn't have any of your spy gear, so you were much more lethal, but you were less mobile, and both were very fun to play. I think it was more fun playing as spies, but this was a time when Xbox Live had just been released. Me being a console guy at the time, still am. It was one of the first online games I'd ever played.
And this was original Xbox?
Original Xbox,
wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know Xbox Live was a thing until Xbox 360.
No,
I was like, whoa.
It launched in 03 or 04, and I remember bringing a 50-foot Ethernet cord from my living room to my router upstairs to get it going. And Halo 2, that was on the original Xbox, so that was the sort of flagship Live game. But it actually, I think that came out a year after Live launched. There was also other ones like Mech Assault and Crimson Skies.
Yeah, Mech Assault.
Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow. So these were all original Xbox Live games that were super novel at the time, just being able to see full screen multiplayer matches. So I was a big fan of the first Splinter Cell. Second one, the campaign, I didn't love as much as the first, but the multiplayer mode, man, was super, super well made. I think that they went back to it in later entries, although don't quote me on that. They did.
Yeah, I don't know what it was called, but I know within the past 5 years, I know I've watched people play the Spies versus Mercs or whatever it was called.
Cool. So I don't remember that many details of it. I just remembered that at the time, thinking that everything worked so well. It seemed very balanced, and at the time, it was just something that stuck out in my mind as something that was super unique. And I wonder if one day we'll get a remastered version and we can go back and relive it.
I think they might. I think they're bringing a couple. I know Crimson Skies. I heard whisperings of.
Right.
Yeah.
That was in the Xbox conference. So that now that was another way that Xbox killed it this year in their conference, was they just said, now you can go back and play original Xbox games in addition to 360 games. So all three generations.
Come on.
On the Xbox One, yeah.
Xbox One F, I want it.
Yeah. So, how about you?
I get a little difficult for me because I grew up not being in the same vein as action-y or third-person shooters as much. I've grown to like those games, but I started off more of an RPG. So I'd get down, me and my good buddy who I grew up with, we were really into RPGs. So the first one I remember really hard co-oping, beating, throwing, I'm talking 80 to 120 hours was our last save file of Dark Cloud 2 for the PlayStation 2. That was one of my favorite games growing up, and that was third-person dungeon crawler, post-mod, almost modern. It was you pretty much played as this kid Max, and your other partner you had was Monica, and it's a time-traveling, adventure to you set out, to see the world, and pretty much JRPG cliche of like build it back up. It had this cool diorama system where you go through the dungeons, you open these things called geostones, and you get those, and for that you get little parts of your town that you can build. And you basically rebuild the town, you meet certain requirements. If you get 100% completed, you didn't have to, it wasn't required, but if you got 100% of all the requirements of the town, you get a special item or a weapon or something else, pretty much to give you like a really good ranking. But me and my buddy, we sat down and we did this for hours. Like we would just go to each other's houses on the weekends. When you first like either could drive or like your parents drop you off for like a weekend, and you just do nothing but sit down and like indulge in a game for like 72 hours, and it was the best. So we did that.
Is this an actual co-op game, or you just...
No.
Okay.
We would just switch off. So it was totally one-player game, but we'd like switch off every like dungeon floor, because the dungeons are the meat of the game, are the dungeons, and they're like each dungeon. There's only 7, I think, plus the bonus chapter, like 7 or 8 dungeons. But each dungeon had like the first one had maybe 8 floors, and the last one had up to like 40 floors that you had to go through, and they were like. You bring you like a Mario overworld map.
If I remember right.
But yeah, long game, and you could upgrade your weapons by getting different orbs to put in them, and they had different branching weapon trees. There was wrenches were a big one. Wrenches were the main kid Max's weapon, and his secondary weapon was guns. You get wrenches and guns or hammers as well. And then Monica had swords, so she had swords and then like a magic bracelet that you could just shoot fireballs with. I thought that was pretty lame, but it's a pretty cool concept. And then you could transform into monsters as her. So some monsters you kill, you get their badge, you transform. And then for Max, you could get this little robot called the Ride Pod, and you could upgrade his weapons. You get like guns for hands or like fists or swords, and that was really cool. For the time, I was blown away. There's so much stuff, and they remastered it for PS4, all in HD, so you can download that now if you want.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you know that was up? Because
Yep.
It's available with full trophy list and everything.
Yep, I know. I was like, oh, why did I play the shit out of this game? Now I'm gonna go back and do it again. But I love it, so I definitely want to do that.
That one's got kind of a cell shady look to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very cartoony anime, like cell shady.
Cool. Did they ever make 3?
No, I'm still waiting on it.
Well, we'll see.
Hopefully, fabled game.
Yeah.
But that, and then of course the typical, like I liked Castle Crashers a lot, more modern, like coming into teenage years or like adult where I am now, young adult, was Castle Crashers I liked a lot. It was a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is really fun, Mario Overworld almost. Just going through, beating the crap out of things. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, I loved. It was a fun side-scrolling brawler, Turtles in Time, that stuff.
Just listen them off rapid fire. Cool. Some honorable mentions. The original Halo, played that more than any other single-player campaign. Co-op many times. Destiny is a more recent one. Bungie really knows their stuff when it comes to cooperative first-person shooters. The co-op in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, whenever I'm stuck on a boss and I've got a stranger on the internet or good buddy that's willing to help me through it, that's always makes it a good time.
I felt really bad. There was a guy when I was playing Destiny the other night. He like just stood there, like I was going through a thing, and I was like, all right, I hope he doesn't see me and try to like talk to me or send me an invite. I'm sitting there trying to do my own quest, and he just sat there and like he'd go up next to me and sit there, and he'd just stand there. His character would be there, and then he would send me an invite. I felt bad because he said it like 3 times. I was like, dude, just leave me alone. I just want to kill this. I gotta go soon.
Why didn't he? You were lucky to. He probably was like, well, somebody's really low level that I want to like.
He was the same level as me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was just being a dick. I was being a huge cock.
Was assuming you were the only level 9 left.
No. Yeah, right. You'd think so. I was like, holy shit. I was like, well, everybody's level 40, so. But I was like, all right, no, thank you, buddy. I gotta go.
See you.
Bye.
On that note, we are gonna get out of here. Thanks for tuning in this week. Next week, the show will be back to its usual format with the news, what we've been playing, all in one show. But as of this week, E3 and my beach trip plans made things a bit topsy-turvy.
I drained us all.
All the news in the previous episode and all the casual
Water
game
bottles.
banter in this one. So thanks again. Peace out.
Bye.